All right, peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum, shalom. Welcome everybody to the Black First Roundtable. And today, with our panel, our topic will be: is what did America make of you? What did America make of you? And we're going to look at a few clips and discuss some things. But in our opening, as we go and make our opening statement to our panel, let our panel introduce themselves. We want to start out and ask the question: why do you work on behalf of Black people? What is your reasoning, your reasoning, your motivation for sharing this love with Black people, which is at most points it's a job that is, you really don't get the proper credit, you don't get the proper thanks. So what is it that motivates you to go out and put that Superman cape on or that Batman costume on and be that superhero for Black people? And we'll go with Sister Neff, then uh, um, my brain. Um, uh,
Neil, Gwen, Doc.
thank you, sister. Thank you, sister. Willie. Go to brother Emil. I'm up there trying to think. I cannot get his name. I call his name. I talk to him every single day. So we'll go, sister Neff, brother Emil, sister Gwen, then Doc. That'll be our order that we're rotating in. Good Lord, am I getting old? What is wrong? Go ahead, sister Neff.
Does anyone want to take my place and then I can go right after them? Anyone?
I can.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
All right. So you're Mr. Muhammad. You're asking me what's our motives? What are our motives? And why do we do it even though we get less recognition for it? Well, it's because I think it's the right thing to do, especially when melanated people, aka Africans, have been suffering countless atrocities and wrongdoings from millennia, for centuries, and up till now, it has never stopped. Now, melanated people might be living in a world where they feel like they are liberated, they have freedom, and they can integrate and mingle amongst white people and other groups of people. But there are covert and subtle agendas happening behind the scenes that many melanated people aren't aware of. Lots of stuff is still being done to this day to destroy melanated people as a whole, such as the Big Ugali, right? I'm not going to uh say the real term because I don't want your video to get taken down by YouTube. Knowing how YouTube is always going around censoring stuff and taking down people's channel, but the Big Ugali is one of the many stuff that's being done to white melanated people off the world. So I think it's our obligation to and responsibility to continue speaking against that and exposing it.
So let me just ask you one follow-up question, brother Emil. And if it's too deep, then you can pass on it. But does your friends, your family, the people that know you, that associate with you, do they respect your position that you take when it comes to fighting for Black people?
That's a very good question. Hold on, let me make sure I'm not muted. Okay, that's a very good question, and that's that's actually a conversation I recently had with my parents. Um, Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Like my parents, For example, they're telling me to keep my love for Africa and African people to myself, right? Because not everybody is going to take kindly to that, especially when in their eyes they think that being compassionate for African and African for Africans and Africa is something that's out of the norm. And I think that's just really screwed up and unfortunate. But that's the result of westernization, colonization, and this Eurocentric world we're living in, where everybody's always looking up to the white man and the white woman. Everybody wants to blend in with uh, European culture and be part of it. You know, I have friends on Facebook who always brag about all the nice uh all the nice things that like the bags, uh utensils, all the glamorous stuff that's coming from Europe, like France, Germany, uh and Poland and Belgium. And nobody says anything against it. People condone it and people promote and encourage that stuff. But when it comes to individuals like me who are fascinated with Africa and African culture and show compassion for African people, that's unfortunately something that's seen as out of the norm, just like uh, being obsessed with science fiction is something that's also seen as out of the norm in today's world and society. I'd also like to add to that that not only do many of my family members and friends think that me being compassionate for Africans and Africa is weird and not normal, but they also don't agree with my talking points when it comes to the stuff that melanated people face throughout the whole world. They say stuff like I'm race baiting, and I'm just following that crowd where they make everything about race. So the conversations I have with you and other people on YouTube, those are not easy conversations I can have with my family members and friends without being gaslighted.
So if there was a price that you paid to think the way you think, to be the way that you be, what would you make it? What would you say that's the price? Like, for example, I'll give you this example. Jesus went out and he preached to the world or to those in the Palestine area. And the Romans, they hung him up on the cross for it. What is the price that you pay to believe what you believe and to do what you do?
Well, since I'm in the military, I guess the price that I would pay if I get caught talking that stuff and spewing that stuff, especially if I'm being caught by somebody who does not agree with my talking points and loves master so much, I can lose my job. And then all the benefits I'm getting off I've been getting off the military, including being able to go to different countries and explore new cultures, that will all go away.
Thank you, Brother Mill. I just want to let you know that that I love you and I love the stand that you make and what you do.
Hey, even though I'm in the military, I still try to get some of my Black friends to understand what's going on with their kind and melanated people around the world. And they always tell me that they want to talk about it because it's awkward. It's awkward topics to be talking about. And I think this is just a form of escapism. They don't want to deal with their reality. You know, these other YouTubers that I chat with on YouTube are Real Talk TV. Those ladies told me that if I want to be with a black woman, I need to stop. I need to stop bringing up this topic of police brutality and police killings against black people, because that's just going to make themselves feel uncomfortable by me bringing up their trauma. But what I'm trying to get them to understand is that that's their reality and they can't escape from it. Especially when they have children, they can't shield their children from that kind of stuff. They need to teach their children early that them as a black man, unfortunately, as a black man and a black woman in America and also around the world, they're born with an automatic target on their back.
Wow. Wow. All right. All right. Thank you, Brother Mill. Sister Neff, are you ready or you need us to go to somebody else and come back to you?
I am shooketh, okay? Like, I have not heard a non-melanated person tell some truth like that in a minute. Okay. My motivation for this pursuit is just because it's a smart thing to do. I'm a black person. I'm a black woman. My world is black. Therefore, sort of in terms of my pursuits when it comes to black liberation, I don't do it because of justice or anything. I do it because it's smart. Not only is it the right thing to do, yes, morality sounds great, wonderful, it's true, yes, we should do that, but it's because it's smart and I don't want to go into extinction being stupid. So that's why I do it.
And how does your family and friends see what you're doing? How do they, deal with that?
Well, I think to be kind, my family and friends think, to each his own. And this is definitely one that is for me, and I'm special. There's some of them who are just like, word, I mean, we don't know you as anything else, so continue to be you, do you. But in terms of them being down with, my level of passion about this, everybody's got a different, percentage of what their deepness is. But as far as looking at it overall, I think they just feel like it's, the way in which I express this, the zeal within which I pursue it, regardless of whatever, is just me. They just see it as being me. I'm just being me.
And is there a price that you pay for being you? As I pointed out, gave the example of, Jesus paid his price for telling the truth, which was to be up there on the cross and to be crucified. Emil spoke about, what could happen to him if, his commanders and them come get a whiff of what he's doing. Is there a price that you have paid, or that you think you may have to pay for what you believe?
What I can say is that I'm grateful for the price so far. And I think, of course, the deeper and the more truer you are thing, maybe that will change over time. But so far, the price have been really, for me, just a confirmation that, this isn't going to change. In terms of my mathematics, like the formula will remain the same. The price is that I was able to find a tribe outside of my tribe and continue to expand that tribe in my pursuit. But I do think in terms of like in the future, when the work is really getting done outside of sort of, there's a level of comfort that I've found amongst people who think like me, when I talk about finding the tribe outside of my tribe. So there's a level of comfort in that. But I do think when it comes to, the real sacrifices that are to be made, I don't know if I'll be so comfortable in that price. So I do realize that at some point, I may not be as comfortable in the price that I have to pay. Right now, I feel very good about the price. I'm comfortable with the price I've been paying. I don't think that will always be the case.
Okay, thank you, Sister Neff. Sister Gwen?
The reason why I'm in this is because, believe it or not, it's not because of blackness or being black. I just happen to be a member of the group of being black. I'm in it for justice and fairness. That's my motivation, is fairness and justice and righteousness in the world, but mostly fairness, fair, balance. You get what you give out what you receive, and the world is very unjust. Black people are being treated unjustly. And so I am fighting for Black people, but any group that was being treated unjust, I'd be fighting for them as well. Even if my group were the dominant group doing somebody wrong, I would be calling them out, because it would be wrong. And my motivation is justice. And I just happen to be Black, and we happen to be on the bottom of the totem pole right now. And so I'm fighting for my people. I'm fighting for the Black family. I know that as a single woman who's unmarried and without children, I won't be in the holy group because I consider the Black mother and Black father and Black children the holy group. But I'm going to be a supporter, and I'm going to expedite their and see to it that they have a safe environment with which to raise their children. And that's my goal. That's my whole motivation. So I'm against interracial dating. I am pro homeschooling and all of that stuff. And I have to smile at my friend Emil. You're in trouble because if you want the Black lady, a Black woman that's Black first, then she's not going to be dating you because you're not Black, because she'll be looking for a king. But if you want a Black woman in general, then that you can get, you're not gonna want her because you'll have to keep educating her all day long because she's not there. So you're gonna be in trouble. The most thing you can do is go to Malaysia where Asian, Black looking Asians are, and y'all can probably find somebody who's as dedicated and to truth and righteousness as you are, and y'all can go on your journey together. Because you're in trouble. You're not gonna find the woman you want. I had to giggle at that. And the other thing I tell you is your friends in the Navy that are Black, they have a different mindset while they're in there under the beast. And that is, even though they know that you're telling the truth, they know that it is, they're in jeopardy if they express it to that level. So they will be rejecting it. And they do think like, basically think like brainwashed Republicans. Please don't put yourself in a position of trying to wake them up. They are not in a position to be woken up. So y'all not assuming equal risk with that waking up thing.
And I'd also like to add, they have cracker friends too.
Yes. And so please don't put yourself in that position and jeopardize your career trying to wake them up. That ain't the time and place.
And I also noticed that with when it comes to the chiefs and first classes in my command, many of them who are Black men, they are not married to Black women. They're married. Yeah. They're always married. It's always a cracker woman they're married to.
And so don't be putting yourself through that. Just go ahead and study on your own. Hook up with like-minded people on the internet in safe places away from the military mindset. Nobody black in there can afford to be black first, because that's not the place for it. They
Yeah.
are black first quietly, and if they are black first, they're quiet about it, and they're not gonna talk to you about it because that's inappropriate at that time. So finish your time, bide your time, study as you will, hook up with like-minded folks in remote places, but please don't put yourself in a position to be following the black first thing at that time, because that's not the place. But do learn about warfare and warcraft, and all of the manuals and stuff you can learn, to take that with you and help where you can, because black first people do support, would appreciate the support and help. Although won't get to marry us, but we don't mind you helping us. Okay.
And I just want to add this real quick, and I'm gonna let Doc go. Well, first, since when you got two more questions to answer, then I'm gonna let Doc go. But when I was in the military at Mill, and my first sergeant pulled me aside, and he gave me the advice. He said, "Look, you're going to go far in the military. You're talented. You got it. You're going to go far." He said, "Get you a white woman, and that will seal the deal. You are guaranteed success. You will be a command sergeant major. Just get you a white woman. That's all you need." And I was told that as a private first class coming into the military, to get me a white woman, and I'll be command sergeant major. So, that dynamic is right there. It is the reality. Lucky for me, I was chained down to my roots, so that shit wouldn't go happen. Sister Gwen, what does your family and friends think about your positions? And then what is the price that you pay to have your position? Okay. And then we go to you, Doc.
My family and friends, the family members that I talk to the most are down with everything I say. We are a discussion kind of folk. We discuss it, and they put forth their ideas, I put forth mine. And then they eventually come to mine because they see that what I said was true. So we're pretty radical thinking, and we look at things and talk about them. As far as sacrifice, the biggest sacrifice was not finishing graduate school, because I wouldn't do a program that my professor thought, as he wanted me to discuss Black people. I was in Pennsylvania full of white people, and I thought Black people me talking about my family was too good for them. So I didn't. So I basically didn't finish graduate school, and because I didn't re-enroll, and no, and just I'm too bitchy for that. And so and then my other sacrifice, and I would call it a sacrifice so much as not so much as any loss, is at work. When I was waking up, I stopped being overly friendly to white people. I didn't have white friends, and so I did smooth and didn't politic and didn't brown nose. I just came in there and did my work. So I probably lost a lot of opportunities that I could have had, because I wasn't doing the politic part. I was doing the work part, and I quietly worked and sat at my desk and focused on my work and my work only. No cliques and politics. I didn't trust the Black people there or the white people there. So I didn't have a lot of external conversations and a lot of deep stuff. The Black people there I did talk to, and I did let them know. I never did let them know all of my views, but I did talk to them more warmly than white people. I didn't really sit around talking to white people. I don't think I ever even sat at a table eating lunch with a white person unless they came to me and I couldn't get them to go. But no, I didn't. I lost. I think I lost opportunities at work because I just didn't smooth. And I'm happy with that. That was a choice I made, mind you.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Sister Gwen. Dot?
To answer the question of why I do this, I'm addicted to seeking justice for Black, brown, and working class people in general. I literally can say that I know no other way to be. I have no other example of how to be. It's sort of answering the question of how does it feel to be you? I'm just who I am. And as far as has it cost me anything? Not that I can discern, if it was a ledger of positives and negatives, profits and losses, I'm certainly in the profit area. And I'm absolutely, good. Today, matter of fact, today when I was leaving campus, um, Mary J. Blige's song, Just Fine, came on. And that's in many ways my thing. I'm fine. I wouldn't change my life at all. I'm fine. So anything that's been quote unquote missed or any negative or what have you hasn't been noticed. Not at all. And I yield.
All right. Thank you, Doc. Thank you. Brother Carlton, peace and blessings. Welcome, Brother Carlton. So you came in right at time. Now it's your turn to answer the questions. So the question is, why do you fight for Black people? Why do you do what you do for Black people? And then the next question is, what does your friends and family say about it? And have you had to pay a price for doing it?
Well, damn. Eating the YouTube, Brother Muhammad. We coming in spicy tonight. I'd say this. I fight for Black people because I just, I'm thinking about young people and their future. It's not really for me. My time is pretty much, I have a long life left to live, certainly. But, the trajectory of my life has already been kind of shaped, essentially, by people who come before me and work with me and help me out. Really, my main goal is to make it better for young Black people coming behind me. That's my main real reason why I do this. I want them to have a better life. I want them to be able to live in peace and prosperity and not in fear and not in worry. They can express themselves fully and live up to be their God-given self, whatever that happens to be and whatever that happens to look like. And so, I want them to return to their true nature and who they truly are and know who they truly are. That's why I fight for Black people, And so, as far as paying a price goes, certainly, there's something to say. My family is supportive, and me working with this because they're doing the same work. Maybe not the same way. They're probably a touch more conservative, in their outlook, but they see the point in the benefit of investing in young folks because they haven't been polluted and they've been defiled by the world quite yet. So, they're very much interested in that same work. I think they get very exhausted and very tired. And we all have our moments of, damn niggas. Like, why are we doing this? And so I think we all get that exhaustion because it can be quite vexing and irritating. But, I will say, I took my mom with me to Jollof Wars last weekend, and she was eating jollof. I said, man, so Black folks, when we're at our best, we're awesome. Like, yeah, we are great when we're at our best. When Black folks are at their best, we can be incredible people, incredibly loving, generous, kind people when we're at our best. But unfortunately, we don't get to see that very often because of our conditions, sadly. And so, paying a price, I say this all the time, this is not my life. It is my life, but it's not my life. And what I mean by that is this, if I believe in a creator and a creator God, that I don't live my life for my life per se. I know I do things that make me happy. I rest and relax. I have a good time. Don't get me wrong. It's not all work all the time, but my North Star is this. This is not my life. This doesn't belong to me. This is God's life. I'm living this I'm living in a way that God would be proud and would delight in, essentially. That's where my goal is. So essentially, if I'm going to live as God lives, I can't live for myself. I can't live necessarily for some of those things that who might drive other people, basically. So I have to be very conscientious of that. If I say I'm a believer, if I'm not a believer, it is what it is. I can always look out for self and do whatever I need to do for myself. But once you say you follow the way of the cross, or you follow Islam, those are, the core of those faiths are to be self-giving people, and you recognize it's not yours. It's not your life to live. It's God's life. You're living in a sense that you're living in a sense of being a constant servant, a servant and certain servant leadership, however that happens to look like. So, so whatever sufferings come along with that, that's fine, because it's not mine. It's not mine to have to give up in the first place. So, I guess I don't fear the sufferings as much. And I guess maybe I've gotten to that place as I've gotten older, that, I know I'm going to suffer. Is what it is. But, as long as, nobody around me has had to, lose their life because of my decisions, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. And I think we need, to have that kind of idea in our heads that we're going to die anyway. I mean, regardless. I mean, that's the one thing we know. Time is always undefeated. Time don't lose. So, why not fight for something that you might believe in, or for a cause that motivates you and gets you up out of bed? Because I think I see why a lot of people and just in general are so like zombies out here in this world, because they're so caught up trying to find happiness and fulfillment in things, in acquiring wealth, power, sex, whatever it happens to be. And so their life is basically fleeting, essentially. These things are always, the scripture shows these things are fleeting. They pass, they come and they go. And so when you're not driven by work for some noble work or some noble cause, well, there you go. You seem to be rudderless and without cause. So once you found your purpose, or found whatever purpose is that you want to work towards or work to, those sufferings, they're there. You recognize them, you acknowledge them, but you don't want to let those get in the way of your purpose. Because once you've gotten a purpose from your God, I mean, what else is there to worry about and to focus on? And so I think we need to look at these quote unquote sufferings as opportunities to teach and instruct, and to give guidance to them. So when people come behind you or come around you or going through the same things, it's not going to be unfamiliar to them. They're not going to be afraid of accepting these sufferings. So with that, I'll yield.
All right, thank you, Brother Carlton. So and you brought up a new question that hit my mind. So I'm going to ask the panel, has this road that you're on, has it diverted you to go a different way from the way you thought you were going to go before knowledge has come to you, right? So for example, like me, I was going to do my full 20 years in the military, right? But then when the knowledge came to me and hit me with, okay, what I'm really doing, then it was like, well, shit, this ain't gonna work, So then my course deviated. And so I was like, well, what am I going to do next? And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go join the FBI or join the CIA and, work in those areas, right? Because I'm the type of guy that when I was in the military, I was part of the QRF, Quick Reactionary Force. So, I'm ready to hit the ground running, bang, 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 do what needs to be done. And I was talking to a brother in the nation. He was like, well, brother, if you do those, you can't come in the nation. And I was like, what? Shit, okay. And he was like, well, won't you just be a regular police officer? I said, well, I can't do that, because if I run up on somebody who beating his wife, I'm going to whoop his ass. I know I am. So I can't be the cop, because I'll be doing my own justice thing. So I couldn't do that. So my choices began to be real limited because of what I adopted with my belief and what I saw at that time as what was right or wrong. So my question is, with the knowledge that you have, did it change you from your original course? Because when I was growing up, I never thought that I would be doing this. I knew I was going to be in the military, but I didn't know I was going to be doing this. This was nowhere in my thinking. But this is my life now. This is my life. So, that's my question to you all. Brother Mill, you may go first.
Um, I feel the same way. Oh, let me make sure I'm not muted. Okay. I feel just the same way you feel. I never thought I'd be in this, I'd ever be in this part and stage of my life where I'd be so conscious, so-called woke. I don't like using the term woke because uh that's more of a liberal term. But for lack of a better word, I'm gonna say woke. More conscious, woke, enlightened of everything that's going around the world. Because I was a sheep before. And it's just so this is also something I think about to myself. It's astonishing how uh all this knowledge and information has come to me. And I'm happy with the stuff I learned, but that's not the end of it for me. As the saying goes, you're never too old to learn, and there's still so much for you to learn and unlearn.
Do you think that do you think the Most High wanted you to do what you're doing, to have this knowledge? Do you think that you were chosen? Do you think that you were called to come into this knowledge that you have?
I'm gonna be honest with you. That's also another thing I think about, and it's a hard question for me to answer because obviously it's just impossible to communicate with the Most High man to man. So I don't know. I really don't know, and I don't know where this is going to lead to.
Mhm.
I
Right.
don't know where all of this will lead to.
And and I'll say this because at one point my life, I'm the type of person that I strategically plan for everything. When I'm going to accomplish this, and I'm going to accomplish this by doing A, B, C, D. Right? I actually write it down and know where I'm going. I got my roadmap. But when I came into this knowledge, you really couldn't put a roadmap out there. You just got this door, and you're willing to walk through the door, but you don't know what the hell on the other side of the door. And I didn't know what was on the other side of the door, but I knew I had to go through that door. I had to go through that door. Emil, do you feel is that the same thing, that you have to go through that door?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Brother Emil. Sister Neff?
Yeah, so for me, I think that it wasn't a detour, as more like it was like it defined my path, if anything. Um, I remember when I was in college, I was going to study international relations and to be a diplomat. um, but then as I got to see what how that was being structured on the global stage, I was just like, oh, hell no. Hell no, I cannot engage in this. Absolutely not. And so, though my path is still in that lane in terms of being extremely diplomatic, um, it's a part of my inheritance, but it's more sort of radical. It's more Black. It's more African. It's more connected to a path that has been laid by the ancestors. And so what that path has done is detoured me as opposed to being taught by Western powers and people, and being framing who I was based on sort of this Western ideology. What looked like a detour defined that my perspective would be framed by more African, a more Black sense of what diplomacy looks like. Yeah.
So when you use the term when you use the term radical, right, and your being diplomatic or chasing that field, what do you mean by that when you use that word?
I think there is no, I'm gonna use this on purpose. There is no black and white when it comes to truth and justice. And so there is and there isn't. And I think what's radical is saying that, just standing in that black justice and truth is not black or white. It is simply truth and it is simply justice.
And do you believe, or do you think that the Most High has called you onto your route that you're on?
Absolutely, 100%. I wish I could. Wish I could give the credit to, say, my dad, my mom, who sort of like their history is sort of entangled in this path a little bit. But no, I was completely called to them because the way that they approach is completely, it's unique to their experience. What I've drawn out of it is something that's has been a gift for me in the way that it's edified my life, in the way that it's built my confidence, in the way that it shapes my perspective. It's divine because I couldn't have determined that it would be that, you know. I thought I would be doing something. My idea of what it looked like is completely opposite to what it actually is. And I think that's a beauty that can only come from the Creator. So it feels divine.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sister Neff. Sister Gwen?
The first question I'm talking about is something to do with the divine. Yes, I think we all have a role to play. And I think the divine does have a hand in it. Contrary to what people might think, we're really in a battlefield. But the battlefield isn't just here on earth, it is also in the next life, because there's a lot of residual things that have to be straightened out and cleaned up. That's why it's so hard and tough on this side, because the other side is trying to have influence on what's going on. And so we're in a battle between good and evil, existence and non-existence. Something is trying to pull us into non-existence and trying to obliterate all of creation. And the power of good, or that's us, are trying to fight the obliteration of creation and all souls and everything. So we still got the battle. So so when you leave this world, at least I am going to try to join the battlefield to fight on the side of good, to keep evil from destroying creation. We all have our role to play. I know that something divine is helping, because I be figuring out stuff that I ain't even smart enough to figure out. I mean, there are answers that come to me that I ain't even smart enough to have. There's an answer that came to me when I was 3 years old, and I wasn't smart enough, but a thought came to me from outside of me. That was my first listening to the divine experience. Y'all got time for me to tell it? It's not I'll tell it. It's not a long story. I was about 3 years old, and I didn't know what I was looking at. It was a bunch of grown-ups running around all over the place doing stuff. They were all excited, and stuff was going on. Everybody was running here and there. And I said, what's happening? And they running and jumping and howling and all of that, right? And they zipping around. What's going on? And then somebody told me what it was. I didn't know what that meant. But what is that? Blah, 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 blah. Well, what does that mean? Blah, 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 blah. And then something said, stop. Just remember what you see, and then you can explain it to yourself when you get older. That's what an impression came from outside of my head told me that stop and watch and remember everything, and then you can explain it to yourself. I was about 3 years old when that happened. And then later on in my life, I had that thought, and then I saw a baseball game and there was a home run happening and everybody was running and jumping. And that was what was going on that time when I was 3 and couldn't figure it out. It was a ball game and so they were excited about a home run happening. And that was the thought. And I said, oh, okay. But that was my first impression of the divine talking to me, because it told me, and plus what that did was make me remember almost everything that I didn't understand. And it also let me know that I can figure out stuff when I get old enough and get more knowledge. So that's how I know that things are working divine. And along the years, I learned to listen to intuition. I used to test it when intuition come or a thought came, but now I don't even test it. I just go ahead and follow what it says when the time comes. We all have that, but not everybody listens, but there's always something talking. I would suggest that we did listen and listen carefully, but I think that most people don't have enough silent time. Silent time is when you spend 2 hours with nobody bothering you. Now, a good way to do it is get on the car and ride on the highway in a circle by yourself and just think. Other people meditate, but you need that silent time so you can listen, so the divine voice of the creation can listen to you and you penetrate your brain. What was the other question?
Did the knowledge that you have, did it change your path, your detour?
Well, no, because if I did have a detour change, it wasn't because of my knowledge, because I can navigate. I know that I can navigate Black first without altering any of my behaviors externally. I can be Black first while I'm typing I can't type very well, but while I'm sitting at a computer at work, because I know that my Black first is inside me, and it don't change my trajectory. Plus, my approach to, I see how you write your list and make your 5 or 10 year plan. I found that didn't work out for me early on when people were telling you that you should make your plan, 3 months later, I got a whole different set of circumstances where that plan that I'd made didn't work. Okay, and that's over and over again. So I don't make plans like that. I might go out 6 to 18 months, or think of things in the long run, but that 5 and 10 year plan never worked for me. So I didn't have no big trajectory change. I always read the conditions of the field and make adjustments accordingly. So that didn't change. Okay, that answer you got it. Okay, that's all I can think of.
Okay, thank you, Sister Gwen.
You're welcome.
Okay, could you run the question for me again?
Yes. So the knowledge that you have, that the same knowledge that gives you the desire to work for our people, did it change your course to where you originally started out? Did you change your course? And then the second question is, do you feel like the Most High has called you to do what you do?
My course that was actually, I was raised by parents where children did not really have a voice in what they ended up as. Whatever my parents told me I was going to do, that would have been what I became. And early on, my mother put me on this course of always working towards the liberation and salvation of the Black nation. My father, being a steel worker, that's where and I followed in his footsteps for a while as a steel worker myself. That's where my class consciousness and commitment to working class people. I had to join a union. I learned all about that at a very early age. So no, nothing has changed from the very beginning. Additional knowledge did nothing but further convince me that I was on the correct path. Is it divine? Most certainly. Most certainly. There's no question, no query that could be provided to me that would, number one, cause me to question this path that I'm on. And God has put me right where He wanted me to be. I didn't always agree with His methods or how I got here, because it has never been an easy road for me. And a lot of people find it difficult. And, many people are shocked when they hear me say I'm first generation college, that I had to work two, sometimes three or four jobs to make it through college. So I know God had His hand on me the entire time, guiding me. And even in my professional life right now, um, my deal with God was that I would never leave Prairie View A&M University until He actually verbalized for me to leave, or they kick me out. And I would consider that a sign from Him as well. So no, my personal life, my development to this point has always been aimed at educating and uplifting the minds of Black, brown, and working class people. Nothing has changed.
Okay. Thank you, Doc.
Mhm.
Brother Carlton?
Sure, hop in here. Yeah, I think one. I'll start with, are we called by God? I think we all are. Actually, every person, every human being has this indelible mark from the Creator on them, and it's your responsibility to, one, hear the call, and second, two, nurture that vocation. That's what your parents are there for. So your parents see things in you as a young child, and they help nurture. And so it's the parents' responsibility to help you unlock that potential and unlock that vocation. And so when you get of age, you kind of have an idea of where you're going. You might make some decisions, you might change course here or there. By and large, you're going in the same direction. For me at least, I'm still on my journey and still on my path. I know what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm still not exactly where I desire to be, based on what I was called to do. But I know I'm still working towards those goals and those aspirations. And so, it's very hard. I tell people all the time, if you're called to do something, it's very hard to find genuine rest when you're not doing those things. It's very hard to rest and to be at rest, or be at peace, because you keep getting this constant tug. Somebody I dated years ago used to say, I see something in your eyes, and that it's beyond this place right here. And I don't understand it. I don't understand the look you have, but you're longing for something else. And I think we all have that mark. And if you spend, and Sister Wynn hit it so beautifully earlier, that you have to spend time in silence to unlock those different things and to unlock those conversations. Because you live in a world where you're always talking or communicating, or with either by internet, phone, whatever, and it's very hard to hear anything God's trying to tell you, or whatever you happen to believe in. So however you plug back in, getting that voice coming in, oh yeah, this is what I should be doing, what I should be doing. So it's very hard. It's very easy for folks to lose that identity very quickly, because there's so much in the world that distracts you from what you're called and what you should be doing. So yeah, things have changed for me, but I always know, even if I slightly deviate, I know Creator is calling me back to what I'm supposed to be doing, and what I'm supposed to be up to. And so and I think it's, we're allowed to make these decisions and make these choices to the best of our ability, but we always know if you listen real clearly, you hear that slight whisper in the background. If you give it a moment or two, 10, 20, 30 minutes in slight meditation. It doesn't take a whole lot of time. That voice is there waiting to talk to you and connect back with you. And I think that's the main thing you're doing. Because so if you've changed your course because of this new path you're on, working there, be not afraid. If you're unsure which way you're going, hey, it's fine. Because when you open these doors, You're not going to know what's on the other side of them. You're going to be unsure. You're going to make these steps. The main thing is you have to remember is always continue to step in the right direction. Always continue to work in that direction. Things will be more clear down the line and as you go through it. And the thing is, it is supposed to be a little bit myopic for you because you're not supposed to know all these different things ahead of time. It'd be nice to know to have spoiler alerts beforehand. I would enjoy that. Because I'm the type of guy who I'll go watch a movie and I'll read the synopsis in the movie before the movie starts. So I want to know what's going to happen. And so for me, my curiosity kills me sometimes. And so, allowing for that uncertainty, allowing for that uncomfortableness, being uncomfortable and not knowing what's coming next in your life, I think is a very valuable thing, because what that is allowing is for somebody greater than you to guide you forward and take you by the hand and guide you and push you in the right, and put you in the right position and put people around you who can help you in your purpose. And with that, I yield.
Awesome. Thank you, Brother Carlton. So I want to ask the panel really quickly. When we're dealing with problems, because the road that we're on is not the easy road. It's a very difficult road. And you're going to hit those roadblocks. You're going to hit those where you have people talking negatively about you and, saying all this foolishness that ain't even true. But they say it on you, to try to bring you down, to try to discourage you. Now, some people will take that pressure and break and turn away. My question to you, when that pressure comes to you, how do you withstand? Then the second question is, for those people who broke and turned away, would you consider them a traitor to their own selves because they failed to be strong enough to move forward? Brother Emil. You on mute, Emil. You got to unmute yourself.
Okay. So the first question you were asking me is, how do I withstand that pressure of them talking and thinking so negative about me just so they can discourage me, right? I just try so hard not to let it get to me. Now, I've had personal conversations with you about this, and I've told you that some words just hurt so bad for you to get over. And, throughout time, as you go on, those words just come back, biting you in the head. So what I do to withstand it is just try to think positive thoughts and try to focus on the people who are like-minded like me, and focus on the people who are the ones that love and care for me, not the energy vampires. Now, the second question you were asking is, would I consider them traitors to themselves? Absolutely. Because in this world of evil that we're living in, if they're trying to put others down and discourage other people from doing what they have to do to liberate humanity, not just humanity, but the whole world in general, they're also doing a huge disservice to themselves as well. Because they're trying so hard to fight for this wicked ass government, these wicked ass elites, these higher ups that don't even give a damn about them. But they are too much of a sheep to realize that and understand that. So what I will also say to those people is, it's on them. But like what Miss Gwen said, it's a waste of time trying to wake people up that cannot be woken up because they already have a fixed mindset. In in this case of mine, with my black friends in the Navy, they already have a fixed mindset, especially when they have too many cracker friends and they're hanging out with crackers too much. Those are not black people who are going to be waking up anytime soon. And by the time they have woken up, it will be too late, especially when their cracker friends turn against them or worse, even kill them. I yield.
And what do you think that those who break and turn, do you think they are traitors to themselves?
Oh yes, I actually already answered that question. They are being traitors to themselves because they're ju- they're doing a huge disservice to themselves by bringing other people down and discouraging other people that have to do what they have to do to liberate everybody, not just themselves.
No, I'm saying that for the person, okay, so like we accepted the assignment from the Most High, and then as we're on our road, we carrying our cross. Then we meet those people who want to berate us and all that, and instead of us moving forward, we turn around and say, "The hell with it." Those people, us, would we become a traitor to ourselves if we quit?
Hmm. Can you ask that question again? Uh, so far for me to follow.
Okay. So
Oh, so you're
and
asking if we turn around, would we consider ourselves traitors?
yes. Yeah.
Okay. Uh obviously yes. Because we choose to conform with how everybody wants us to be and wants us to think, rather than just being ourselves and achieving what we truly want to achieve. So to put it in all simple blunt, we're being fake. Not only are we being traitors, but we're also being fake to ourselves too. Because we're not acting genuinely and acting our true selves. We're conforming to society and the evil ways of society.
Okay. Thank you, Brother Mill. Sister Neff.
I think I'm an elitist when it comes to fulfillment of purpose. Um, since we brought divinity into the conversation, I think there's a word that says many are called, but few are chosen. And so the way in which I see folks that turn back around, they're just unable to finish the race. They're just simply unable to finish the race. And I think that's important. Because a part of that race symbolically to me symbolizes being tested by the fire to see if you're true. So going through that process of life, for some of us is easier, for some of us is harder. And for some of us it's all of the above. It's seasonal. But for those who turn back around, I think I actually find them to be really important in the story. It goes to show that it's not simple, it's not easy. It's not meant to be easy. It's not meant for everybody to finish the race. Not everybody's going to have the skills and the tools that's necessary to be on that podium. And not everybody's neck is built to hold that crown of whatever the purpose is that you have to carry into the future. So I don't look at them negatively. I think it for me, I see it as an opportunity to really glorify first the Most High and glorify those who were able to finish that race. And as far as what I do, I think what was the first part of the question? What do you do to?
Yeah, to overcome the difficulty.
that's a more difficult question for me because I see my sort of the challenges that I have are still, they're still coming up, but I don't even see them as challenges. I know that they're there. I know that they're challenges because I know now that I don't have the full tools. For example, right, I'll give you as an example, a lot of my work is in Africa. And I don't know if that says it all or not, but a part of the extension of my work is in Africa. And if you know anything about what's happening there, then you know, like, well, what do you mean? So when it comes to politics and diplomacy on the continent and really teaching people and bringing people to, you know, to truth, to understanding truth and understanding the importance of justice and the role that it plays in our condition, it's just, it can feel sometimes impossible. But for me, it isn't like to do it or not to do it is not a question. It's not a part of it. It's not a question. I only have to do it. So I know there will be a whole bunch of stuff that comes along with that. And I'm even in the process of that now. I'm a part of a community of people that are consider themselves Africans, that, you know, their parents are there. Some of them was born there. We even talk about politics. I'm talking about my fellow Ghanaians and Nigerians and Guineans and Sierra Leoneans and Liberians and Ivorians, all of that. And understanding, like, oh, I'm gonna need you to put down your nationalism for a second when I'm talking to you, because I'm not talking about European concepts and all of that. I'm needing you to come here and sit at the table with me and let's solve our problems and let's leave the Europeans out of it. So even something as simple as that, there's a lot of difficulty in that. How dare me, as somebody whose people are from Sierra Leone and Liberia and Ivory Coast, tell a Ghanaian or a Nigerian to not rep Ghana or not rep, you know, Nigeria. It's very offensive. But the truth is that the people of West Africa are the people of West Africa. They did not draw those boundaries. They did not draw those lines. But even like that conversation alone, or bringing people together under, to agree, to agree just to something that simple, it can be very contentious. You know, I have fractures in friendships just thinking about that, you know, just talking about that. That if you're gonna be my friend and if we're gonna be in this work together, you're gonna have to leave that alone. That's a very contentious position to have. And that's just one example. But then even if you're dealing with people that are your own people within the local boundaries, within that pin, that pig pen that they've put y'all in, there's some other issues that even come up around within amongst those there as well. So but for me, I mean, and as I think into the future, I'm thinking about things like, to oppose people's views, especially views that are supported by Western powers, means to have a threat, to live with the idea that your life will be threatened. And even as somebody who's young in terms of, you know, framing the thoughts around my diplomacy and how I would approach that, I have to start to prepare myself that as I step into that, my life will be threatened every single day. And that I may not even make it out 30 days or 1 year or 10 years or 5 years, that all the things that I hope to be able to bring and contribute may never make it. So that's something very early on now that I think about every single day.
Thank you, Sister Neff. That's wow. Sister Gwen?
Okay, now where I understand the question is that if you're going forward and then suddenly that the people around you start making it hard for you, and then if you turn away, are you a traitor? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. A traitor to yourself.
Yeah. The thing is that if you turn away, you never were in it. If you are truly in it and you believe in what you're doing, then turning away means that you never really believed because the external forces changed you and you were swaying with the wind. Now, if somebody came to me and they gave me some new thoughts about what I was doing, and it was something I never considered, I will look at your views, and I will reevaluate it and consider everything and weigh it all up. And if I still find out that I'm on the right path after I've thought it through, I'm gonna keep going no matter who's. I mean, I don't care if I'm the only one going in the direction. I don't care if I'm standing against the whole universe. If I think I'm right, I'm gonna keep going. I don't care who don't believe me or agree, because I never was there for the politics. The people are casualties if they don't, and my job is to be on track with the divine. And I want you to come with me, and I want you to believe, and I want to help. But if you don't, and you can't, and you won't, I gotta let you go, and I will. I'll be disappointed, but my hand is with the divine. I want to hold hand with the divine. And that's my job. Is people, I love people and I want there, but sometimes I look at this as a level of survival of the fittest, and intelligence is one of the criteria. And if you're too stupid to look at this world and see ain't something wrong, then you ain't fit. So I got problems with you, so I'm hoping, and my job is to hope that you open up your eyes and to provide information as best I can. But sometimes you aren't going to make it, and nature plays no favors. It gave us all the gifts, but nature will let you die if you don't do what you're supposed to do, because you will be extinct. And that's the way it works. It always worked that way. And we are capable of being extinct too if we don't wake up. Now the devil has got some compulsions and things going on, but we got the evidence in front of us. I'm pleased that we are living in a world looking at hungry demons. Demons who usually feed on Black energy are going crazy because they're not feeding on us. And that's why you get all these Karens out there in the streets going berserk, because the human, as they are getting hungrier, they are going through extremes to get a emotional reaction out of us so that they can feed on our energy. I'm thinking that as I listen to them and watch them, they are arguing things that don't even make sense and that are totally illogical just to make some fuss and emotions. They used to feed on our lust and love, but now but we're withdrawing it because we are changing. And now they're wanting to feed on our anger and frustration. And they are going crazy because they are not feeding like they used to. And that's what you see. When you watch the Karens and listen to what they're saying, those people that they're calling Karens, and everywhere they are causing all that ruckus and coming up on Black people, they are arguing stuff that doesn't make sense. The stuff that they know is stupid, but they want you excited and aroused and emotional. And that's how they feed. I've seen them. I looked at a feeding. Look at that and think about feeding. Think about feeding on energy when you see the next one. Saw a lady, man pushing a car in the parking lot, and a white lady run up screaming in his face about something stupid. And he's screaming back, and she was feeding on him. And you could tell. So they used to be suckered by, and they would feed on lust, but now they're getting too old to make lust. So they're making anger and bitterness and trying to create frustration. That's what we're living in. And that's why I'm pleased, because the demons are losing their disguises and they're showing themselves because we're withdrawing from them. And I'm very happy about that. Any other questions?
Hey, Gwen, Miss Gwen, there's something I'd like to add. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, so what kind of, you're saying that they have arguments, these Karens would have arguments with each other that don't make sense. Like what kind of what kind of arguments? Arguments like if the earth is flat or round?
Well, the Karens that I'm talking about are the people who come up to Black people fussing about stuff. Anything. You could be walking down the street and a white man will ask to see your identity and what are you doing here? Why are you here? Where you come from? Blah, 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 blah. I want to blah, blah, blah. They're trying to feed because they want you to be mad at them so that you would focus your energy on them. I
had one last week. I was wearing a mask. I was going to the store wearing a mask. I got screamed at by a white lady. Why are you wearing the mask? You're a sheep. You're a sheep. I farted and walked on, went on about my day.
He didn't feed
I
off
broke
of
away
you.
and walked right in the store.
Yeah. See,
give me my energy.
She expected you to yell at her and explain yourself and get emotional, and she would feed. She wouldn't even mind if you knocked the shit out of her because that was still feeding. But that's what she was doing. That's because it didn't make sense, right? Totally illogical. An illogical argument is calling somebody a sheep when they're doing what they want to do. See, that's illogical. But they don't care about logic. They want your energy and they want that emotion. They want you to have excitement so they can feed. And energy, spiritual energy, an easy way to show it and explain it is this. You walk into a room, your back is turned, but you feel somebody looking at you and you stop and you turn around and look dead in their face. Have you ever done that? Everybody's done that, right? You're sitting in the classroom, right? And you feel somebody looking at you and you turn your head and you look dead in their eyes. That's spiritual energy. That's how, and you can't see it, can't, but you can feel it, okay? You look dead in their face, dead in their eyes. And you're walking down the street and you just feel something and you turn around and look at somebody and they looking at you and you felt them looking at you. It happens all the time and we feel that. And it's totally unrelated. There was no contact, nothing, just somebody looking at you and you felt them. You felt them looking at you because you felt them thinking about you. And they had some kind of feeling about you, even if it was curiosity, and you felt that and you turned around and looked at them. My boss used to say, he said I was too psyche for him because every time he was doing that, I turned right around to look at him. And when I was used to work and I was managing and something about the room would change and I would go find my employee to see what they up to because I felt their energy wrong. They up to something they shouldn't be, so I go looking for them. And just something about it, just something about the tone and stuff. But we experience spiritual energy all the time. These people want to feed on that. We have some of the best spiritual energy. Even the churches are emptying out. That was a big feeding fest for them, was Black people praying to white God and feeding that energy to them. They're getting hungry and they're getting desperate. And we are watching that. Those are the examples I gave.
Thank you, Sister Gwen. Doc?
Yes, sir. Could you give me the question again? Cue it up for me again.
Well,
Even you forgot the question.
because I don't write it down, it just come to my head and I just give it right back out. Darn. Can't remember what the question is.
How do you sort of
About people hitting resistance and then turning their back.
That's
Right.
They're traitors to themselves.
Exactly.
I'll tell you, and these are, we've had a couple private conversations recently, which is unusual for us. A lot of people think that we probably talk all the time or whatever, but one of the recent things for me was that meetup thing that we all got together, and we had some brothers who showed up and were wholly unrighteous. I mean, it was incredible. Okay. And for me, I'm a believer. And so I'm also human. And I remember having he was our associate pastor at my home church, Mount Calvary Baptist Church. And he said, yeah, the Lord's still working on me because if somebody offend me, I'm ready to fight. And the Lord's still working on me because if someone verbally disrespects me, I'm going to address that right here, right now, because I got to go look at myself in the mirror Okay. And I'm going to get my money's worth. Okay. Without a doubt. So as a believer, the disciples asked Christ, they said, now, if we go somewhere and they don't accept the gospel, what are we to do? And he says, well, what you do is you get up, um, you prepare to leave, you shake the dust from your sandals from that place, and you go forward and you leave them to what is going to be their fate. Um, I try to do that, but always in the process of me doing that, I guess when me standing up and shaking the dust away from my interaction with them, I curse them. If they curse me, I curse right back at them. And that's kind of how I have to do it. I can't just let you talk crazy to me, talk crazy through me to the ancestors. And these are Black folk that I'm dealing with. Do I think that because they hit some resistance and they turn their back, I think that we all have those moments where we need to have an introspective moment where we've gone out, we've taught our people what they need to know and they reject it, almost as if they are demonically controlled, that they don't want to be loosed. I think that's natural. I think that that's a part of our human side. But I also think that you got to get back in the game, and get back on that horse and continue doing what it is that you're doing. One of my, and once again, talking about being introspective, one of the things I know about myself is that the great saying of a little bit of bad will tear down a whole lot of good. I'm one of those that, me and Brother Maurice, we've been doing this for over a decade together. And if I come across truly ignorant resistance, I withdraw from it. And I just truly, I'm like, yo, you know what? Yo, you got it. You go ahead, you do what you're going to do. I know 100% that they're wrong, but I also understand that let life whoop on their ass a little bit. And then that's what's going to cause them to sort of reevaluate some things. I'm not going to be standing there to help you once life has kicked you in the butt, but I wish you well. And it's not. And I heard it put this way by one of my former students. He said, if we aren't the same kind of people, it isn't that I don't want to see you eat. I just don't want to see you eat at my table. I wish you well, but you're not welcome over here anymore. And I'm just an adherent. One of my top five guiding principles comes from Woody Hayes, famed coach of the Ohio State University. And Coach Hayes would say this: you win with people. And I spent a lot of time sifting out people and trying to see who's got the right spirit, who's got the right motives, initiatives, the right, level of energy, intellectual curiosity. I got a whole list of things, and very few people make it through that. And so if you're not good people, I won't be rude to you or anything, but you'll find that I'm very scarce and inaccessible to certain people. And I've actually had people who have said to me, well, man, you so hard to get get in contact with. And somebody that's standing right next to him be like, no, I call him like every day. And I want to tell him, man, shut the fuck up. But it's just what it is. Okay. So you win with people. And I'm more than willing, and some people may say eager, to shake the dust from my sandals and leave some fools behind. Because if you're that crazy and your understanding of history is that limited, there's nothing I can do for you. There's, if you tell me the transatlantic slave trade never occurred, I can't really deal. No, I got, I can't. Okay, you on the mothership connection, my brother. You go ahead with that right there, because I got nothing for you. Yeah, and I yield with that, brother.
Thank you, Doc. Well, I guess that's why Isaiah keep always sending me the message. I can't get with Dr. Jones. I can't get. I said, man, just message him on Facebook. He right there. Well, I tried, but it ain't working.
Look here, that brother there, he was persistent. He was, oh no, you let me get on there. I'm gonna show you some real history. And the telltale sign for me is when I look at the screen and everybody's screen is blacked out. And I'm just like, bruh, they ain't even listening to you. And it's, yeah, I can become, it's a lot of cats that hit me up. Oh, well, man, I ain't, I can't, no, I can't do it. Can't do it. We're not from the same tribe. And another thing is people who are, I call them labor intensive. They need to hold your hand and be walked through everything. And I'm busy. I ain't got, I will literally lose my job if I'm not busy. But people have a hard time understanding that. So, but yeah, brother Isaiah, yeah, like I said, man, you can find a stray or two and bring them in and they be nutty as can be. I'll be like, man, what the hell? Where did he get him at? And they would come through talking crazy and, talking about the, this and that. And I remember you had somebody on, I still remember her name because she died. Crazy Mary. Remember Crazy Mary that used to come on when we was on the radio? This woman said that the US government had Black Hawk helicopters sitting somewhere close to her so that whenever she started talking, a helicopter came above her roof and tried to drown out what she was saying. And I said, now, what are the chances that the United States government would expend that kind of money to have a Black Hawk helicopter within 2 blocks of your house every time you spoke? But I'll give her this. She had some wind, concussions going on one time, and she was like, listen to it. And I'm like, that's a fan that she got going on. That ain't no helicopter over her house.
No.
It's a fan just like the fan I got back here. You know what I'm saying? Come on. But yeah, oh yeah, you find some. Just feel like, what the hell are they talking about right now?
Hey, Doc, what about the brother who had the cape? He had the cape. Remember that one? He was God and he had his cape on.
Yeah, that's what, just us? Yeah. Was that just us that had the cape and all of that? Yeah. This brother had
I forgot his name.
Was
a red cape, a loincloth looking thing, a sword.
Yeah.
I think he was in the cities, in the inner cities. There's Black people that are on the fringes, and they hang around at the hotel lounges and things in the downtown area, and they date white women. And so I think he was dressing himself up to be a white lady fantasy, where she wants to cheat on her husband. So he was leading like some kind of guru. And I just said, oh, I've seen you before. I didn't see him physically, but I've seen his like before. I said, oh, I see that before. And
I ain't never seen him like that before. Never.
That was
I've never experienced that.
I've seen his like before. Because I used to run around out there.
Yeah, you was way out there. You ran across a rascal like that.
I avoided him because he's boring, and he wasn't cute. But I seen his like before.
Yeah, I have never seen nobody that acted like that. He had a
Yeah.
cape on and everything, a sword. Just I've never seen nothing like this. And I'm like, okay, yeah, now and see, he done brought the only kind of stray one that I done brought in is Carlton. I'm trying I'm trying to get his mind right. And he didn't win he off at a monastery or something. Talking about I'm going on spring break. Y'all go on down to the beach. I'm getting ready to go and hum up in here with with them other people, up in the Poconos or some damn where. Come on, man. Go to
Yeah.
Brooklyn.
And I forgot what he called himself. It was some weird word, and he did, and he believed, but
Yeah, that
he was
wasn't just us.
I,
He had a
well, I don't think it was just us. It was somebody though.
Yeah,
But it had
it was
something.
he befriended us.
Yeah,
He was
Okay.
just us friend.
Okay, so
Two
you
of
had
them.
That's how I met him, through just us.
oh
Yeah.
don't try and throw that wickedness off on somebody else. I felt like I was watching American Idol when you know that they didn't went over there to the special school and got some
But
of
he
them.
said he was new
some of them
Jesus.
people.
He was Jesus again.
Yeah, it said something about Jesus. I
Yeah, he
remember
said
that.
he was Jesus. He said he was Jesus. He was
Yeah,
the new
he
Jesus.
was coming back.
And but he was actually after white people money and white women.
Oh,
He probably wouldn't have said it, but I could tell because he just dressed just like the
well,
mandingo thing that these ladies want, and that's he was pretending to be some kind of new guru, and he was in a position to get white women who are escaping from the house, and they want to get a little something in a late evening. Yeah, and that's what he was.
I heard a story
That's
recently
my
about
take on it.
heard a story recently about somebody that I actually used to respect. He told me, man, when I was in college, man, I was knocking them white girls down. Talking about that they would give him money to be allowed so they could call him nigger while he was screwing them. And then talking about, but then my conscience kicked in around my senior year. I'm like, around your senior year.
I would have took that to the grave if I was him.
I'm like, man, come on, bruh. So yeah, but nah, man, you can find some strange ones, buddy. Yeah, I'm just like, they're like gremlins. You bring one on me in and they multiply. So yeah.
Thanks,
My
Doc.
take on that guy. He was
Brother Carlton. And after Brother Carlton, we're gonna go straight to the video.
Oh, y'all brothers are funny. Let me say this about brothers who get turned around and sisters who get turned around. Brother, I know you're a student of the nation, so you've read scripture very well. You know the story of Jonah and the Leviathan. And Jonah was told to go to Nineveh and preach and tell people to repent, because God's judgment was coming. What did he do? Not only did he not go to Nineveh, he went to Spain. That's where he was headed to. He went the opposite direction. He went towards Spain. That's what we now know. And what happened? God sent the storm, knocked the boat, and the Leviathan swallowed his ass up. So, why I say this, we all have those moments when we get turned around, we get frustrated, we have to sit back and reflect and, and breathe a little bit. I think there's nothing wrong with that. It's when we choose a different path. What ends up happening is reality hits us eventually, or, or like Jonah, we get hit with a really hard wall right in our face. Like, yo, where are you going, Hoss? Like, you're not, just because you chose a different path doesn't mean I'm still not calling you to do what you're supposed to do. I done told your ass to go to Nineveh and go preach and go teach. And so a lot of our people get caught up in that, and they wonder why am I unhappy? Why am I struggling? Why am I miserable? Why are things working out the way? Because you went to Spain, you didn't go to Nineveh. Okay, that's why you're in your condition. And so a lot of our people get caught up in that, and so they don't know. And my whole point in life is to point out, yo, you in the whale, Hoss. Let's get your ass out of the whale so you can get where you're supposed to be. And I think that's what we have to continue to do. Keep on letting people know. But some folks, God bless them, they happy to be inside that big ass whale. I don't understand it. I don't get it. but they're happy to be there. And so we know all we can do is go up there and open the jaws and say, here you go. Here's the light. Go do what you're supposed to do. But some folks, they want to be there. And so we can't, we can, I think it's important to, I think one thing I know I do is coming here is part of my therapy process, man. Just unloading and getting some of that frustration and talking about my experiences during the week is helpful, man. Getting around like-minded folks where we can talk and kick these things around. We can laugh and giggle and, and let go of that disappointments, hurt, frustrations. We have a lot of serious discussions, don't get me wrong, but having 15 minutes of just to joke and laugh at each other so we can just be around, we're around like-minded folks who are about the same work we are. Because it's important, that you're able to unload a lot of those burdens that you're going to come across. Because unfortunately, when you walk through this week, when you walk through your weeks, you get hit, with a lot of different things. You get damage, you get dings and scrapes and all types of things. And having a safe place where you can just be you and not fear anything and not fear, the brother next to you judge. Unless you say some weird shit, then yeah, we're going to talk about you, obviously. But beyond that, if you're here really just to talk about the issues facing our community and how we're going to do the work a little bit differently, and make it better for those coming after us, take this time to kind of unload and unwind. I think Black folks don't do a good enough job sometimes of marrying those two things, where you can talk about serious things and be very serious and talk about it, but also makes a little bit of foolishness in there too, so you can unload and because we're carrying a lot of this trauma, baggage, frustration with us on this journey too as well. So it's important to dump that baggage off in the corner for 15, 20, 30 minutes so you can just be, you can be you for a little bit. We can see who you are in your natural state, who you're called to be, essentially. And you get a few moments of that. I call them like little oases, basically, throughout the week. They're like a little small oasis. We're going through the spiritual desert to our goal on the other side of the river. And so we find these little small oases as we cross this large desert called life. And we spend that time, we relax, we unwind, we reflect. And then after when I close my computer, I'll get up and I'll get back at it again. No, I'm gonna get knocked off the horse again next week. I'm gonna come here, and you know what? You're all right, brother. Keep working. Keep focused. Keep your eye on the prize. Get back on the horse and keep riding. And that's all we have to say. And so I think we have to also be forgiving of ourselves, because you know what? We are flawed people. I think we do all this work and we do all these great things, but you have to remember we are flawed. We are human. There's nothing I keep saying this all the time to myself and people and anybody who will listen. We are prophets of future that are not our own. We are preparing the way for people to come after us. We gotta remember we're not Jesus, we're John the Baptist. We are crying out in the desert. Prepare the way of the Lord. Prepare the way of the next generations. Prepare the way of the people to come after you. And so when you keep that in mind, it's way easier to stay on track and stay on path. And without you'll back from the Rami.
Thank you, Brother Carlton. Okay, Doc, we ready.
Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Time is what really dictates agenda. If you don't know what time it is, you might be doing the right thing at the wrong time and get not the right results. The question that we have to ascertain is, where are we? Not in this time, but in God's time. There is a spiritual dimension to this problem.
Yes.
And that we have to consider. Are we working against what God wants? Or are we working in harmony with what God wants for a people that this book delineates clearly that something is wrong?
Yes.
Wrong with the government in which we live, wrong with the leaders that lead us, wrong with us, in the way we respond to our enemy and each other. This nation is not about poor people, whether they're black, brown, red, yellow, or white. This nation is about rich people, privileged people, powerful people, and to hell with the weak, the poor. They must serve. Now, Harry Belafonte said a few weeks before Martin Luther King was assassinated, they were meeting to talk about the march in Memphis. He went over to his brother, and according to his words, he said, "Martin, you seem melancholy. What's troubling you?" And Dr. King said, "I fear that I am integrating my people into a burning house." We don't see the fire, but the house is burning. He said to my dear brother Harry Belafonte, we have to be firemen to put the fire out. I said, no, we must let the fire burn. When John baptized Jesus, he said, "I baptize you with water, but there's one coming after me that will baptize you with fire." Why fire? Because nothing remains in its present form when fire touches it. America must be burned. Listen to me, because I really don't care no more about what anybody thinks. Because if we're going to go down this road and make a covenant, we can't make another covenant with death. You said, Tavis, what is that word about promise?
Barbara Jordan, what the American people want is simple. They want an America as good as its promise.
Well, America is no good at all. If you have made a promise that you don't keep, what are you? You are a liar. Did they promise the Native Americans? Did they write it in treaties? Did they fulfill it? Did they promise us 40 acres and a mule? Did they fulfill it? Brown versus the Board of Education. 50 years later, where's the promise? Is it fulfilled, or are we still in segregated schools? The right to vote, you got it? But the minute they gave it to you, they were finding ways to take it back from you. Can't you open your eyes and see the house is burning? We are dying every day, and we're in a hell of a condition because we've made a covenant with a government that is death itself, with a people that have lied to us, deceived us, and murdered us, and rubs us good on one side and kicks us in the behind on the other. You are a deceived people. If you don't have the testicular fortitude to say what needs to be said, then sit down and stop trying to say you speak for our people and the hurt of the poor. Now I close. Excuse me. I think I'm getting excited. I applaud this covenant, but it demonstrates our impotence Because in many of the chapters, it keeps going back to not only what we do, but really, we start looking to the same liar that has continued to promise but never fulfill. And that's why God said, if my people, which are called by my name, will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven, forgive your sins and heal your land. So don't look to them, look to God, look to yourself, break your covenant with hell and death, then make a covenant with Black America, and let's help implement a roadmap that will free us, and the whites that will be freed can be freed by this. The Mexicans, the Hispanics can be freed by this roadmap. We are a universal people. But those at the top, they're on their way to hell. And if I got any power, I want to push them into hell as fast as I can. We are a full nation now, and we got to stop thinking like Negroes and colored people and shines and ham bones, and start thinking like free men and women who don't want to live on a plantation no more. I got to go. Love y'all.
You didn't get all that, even if you thought you did.
Whether you agree or disagree with him, he's profoundly frustrated, both with black people and with America and the world. I can understand that.
Okay, so we just watched Minister Farrakhan at the State of the Black America address.
That
And
was,
so in our
that was so good. Can we just take a moment and just, that was amazing. More, please. That was great.
Thank you. Definitely. It really was. But in our closing comments, what we're going to do is, give your perspective of what you just saw from Minister Farrakhan in his address. And then I'll ask each of you one question, and then put your closing comments in at that. And we'll start with Brother Emil. You're on mute, Emil. You got to unmute yourself.
All right. I learned from Minister Louis Farrakhan is that he's making allegories from the scriptures and how it really and truly pertains to melanated people, aka Africans all over the world, so that they can be liberated, they can be truly liberated from this evil system and evil matrix of so-called white supremacy, where they won't be ruled by their enemies anymore. They can rule their own selves and be truly free and liberated. That's the biggest takeaway I took from Minister Farrakhan, the State of Black America. And I'm actually going to, that was actually a very good video. I'm going to watch it again later on after this live stream to relearn some more stuff from what he just said.
Excellent. Thank you, Brother Emil. Now, one question that I want to ask you is, do you see yourself pushing the Fords, the DuPonts, the Rockefellers, those at the top, into a lake of fire? Do you see yourself pushing them there?
Oh yes, absolutely. They are very evil and atrocious people. They don't deserve life. And if you ask me, see, you personally in your own personal beliefs, you believe in reincarnation. When they die, I don't even wish for them to be reincarnated. I just wish for them to be annihilated. When I push them in that lake of fire to death. Though I don't wish them to be reincarnated or go to the spiritual realm dimension. I want them to be annihilated for good, for all the wickedness that they've done to humanity and Mother Earth and Mother Nature, all of the Most High's creation.
Excellent. Thank you, Brother Mill. And your closing comments for tonight.
This was another great live stream and video. Thank you for having me in it. It's really a pleasure and honor.
Yes, sir.
I
Thank you.
enjoy hearing your insights and taking from you. And I enjoy giving you my insights and you guys also taking from me.
Exactly. Thank you, big bro. Just next.
Yeah, I think Emil said he wanted to have like these evil people's source codes erased. I should delete that shit. Don't let it come back in any form. And I agree. What did we learn from Minister Farrakhan? I think Tavis said it best. What did he say? What was the comment that they played? If you didn't get all of it, even if you think you did, or something that he said like that. Yeah. What I've learned is that we don't have enough of the teaching of the elders, ever. And when they speak, we shut up and just listen. What did I learn? That I need to shut the fuck up and continue to listen to my elders. That's what I learned. I want to hear them talk. That's all I have to say to that. I'm sorry. Yeah. They need to be the ones speaking always. Closing comments. Yeah, this I really love spending this time with y'all throughout the week. This really helps me a lot in terms of really calculating how much it helps me. I'm not sure that I'm even in the headspace to really make that calculation yet. All I know is that it feels amazing. It leaves me feeling edified, and yeah, I'm just grateful.
Thank you, Sister Neff. And the one question that I have for you is, how do we break that covenant with death that the minister said that our people have? How do you think we do that?
How do you break the covenant? I think by forming a covenant with life. And to me, that life is looking at what you are made of. And I want to go back to saying what I am made of is the knowledge, the wisdom, the stories of my ancestors and my elders. That's what we need to be in covenant with. Is those that have come before us, that have set out a path and continuing their legacy, improving that, getting back into the natural order of nature. Is that when the tree bears a fruit, that fruit receives from the tree, it ripens, falls back down to the ground, and then it too becomes, continues that cycle. Or it goes on to, doing whatever else that it should do. But we need to get in order by tapping back in to our elders and really letting that to be the thing that drives us forward. I think we continue breaking the covenant with the devil is rejecting everything that comes from him. The word says that we should flee. Flee, don't, take off your shoes if that's what's required. The African men say, leave your papa, leave your slippers if you need to, and run. So rejecting everything that comes from him and tapping back into what has been laid down for us by our elders and our ancestors.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Sister Neff. Sister Gwen?
I like it because he's still on point. He's always been on point. This whole session, by the way, has been on point. I love this. This is good. We really did move forward in learning and knowledge. I think that doing what he's doing and doing what we're doing is putting out the message. It's working. I think it's working. We're getting there. Slow, but it's working. Some people it's not going to ever touch. Other people are right on board. And you have to have what teachers call a point of readiness. That is when the mind is ready to receive it, it will. But it got to go through a whole lot of stuff to get to that point of readiness. And so different people are picking up on this as at different rates and at different times. I once had a dream when I was a few years ago, and it was about an exodus of Black people, and we had all gotten our way and gotten our separated place. And then suddenly all this mass exodus of people who weren't on board with us at first, but the place they were at got too bad and got too messed up, and then they wanted to come to us dictating, and we wasn't letting them. We laid down the law and told them how it was going to be. And that's the and so right now we're on the cups of it. We're on the inside. And so we will have to make this like we want it, because when the rest of them figure out how bad it is and come to us, we got to have something ready for them so they can understand what to be doing, because we can't do things like we used to, like they trained us to. Your biggest thing at the beginning of this is, what did it make of us? It made us into some different kind of people. These struggles that white people put us through has made us stronger, actually, because we had to navigate them hurdles. So we're a different kind of Black people, the native Black people here. We're not quite like any other Black people in the world. As a matter of fact, no other Black people is like others, but we, the ones that are here, have to navigate the beast. And so we are unique because we had to live and deal with them intimately. So it made us stronger and smarter, and the solutions that's happening in the world that solve problems is coming from our hands, even though we don't get the credit. But these are our things that we're making. Everything that you're seeing about the world that's our culture, these are Black echoes, Black people echoes. I mean, over in China, over in Spain, over in everywhere, these are Black, they're talking Black people. Even that little idiot who was high trying to imitate a gangster. You know, so that's all us. So I like the idea of separation, because at least we can keep our us to us. So I'm good. What was your question?
And my question for you tonight, ministers talked about, he went over that part in the Bible, said, if my people will humble themselves and pray. So my question to you is, how do we as Black people make that spiritual connection?
Oh, like I talked to earlier, shut everything else up and reunite, because you got your the part of your spiritual connection is not the first step isn't going to the heaven, it is going to you. You got to be connected to yourself before you can connect to heaven or anybody else. The first thing you do is figure out you. This is where your work is. This is where your real work is. This one, you. And then the rest of it comes later, after you get you fixed. And in fact, I would say every time you get ready to criticize somebody else, look at you first and figure out what you can work on. You know, and then I tell you, your life will be so much easier mentally. Figure out what you can fix on you, and then turn up your nose at other people after you done got yourself perfect. Otherwise, recognize that you're a work in progress. But your first connection to your spirit is to yourself, and then you have to have, that's your identity that you are going to talk to the Creator about. The Creator can't recognize you until you recognize you. Understand? Okay, and destroy the demons, power and blessings, and don't feed the demons, or the demon can.
All right, thank you, Sister Gwen. Doc?
Yes, sir. You know, the biggest thing about listening to the dear minister is, for me, he's really talking about something that you've heard me talk about a lot, which is the idea of class warfare. As a democratic socialist, the idea of uniting with other groups, like-minded groups who are facing the same issue, is just makes good sense. Problem is that our white brothers and sisters are addicted to their whiteness and haven't been able to fully embrace a class struggle. So after listening to him, you know, I was encouraged, and I would hope that people would go back and listen to that aspect and pull that aspect of it out, that he's talking about the poor. He's talking about those who have in many ways been relegated to serving the elite class in this nation. So that's the big encouraging thing that I heard that he said.
And so, coming from your perspective of the revolutionary Messiah, Jesus, would you think that he would agree with what Minister Farrakhan said about the people being deceived? Also, in that they don't need to look to the same old people who lied to you, but you need to look to inwardly and figure it out. Would you think that that Messiah that you worship would agree? And if so, why?
You know, yes, I know that he agrees. Not he would agree, but he does agree. And the reason behind that is you look at who he walked with, you look at who he served, you look at who he criticized, and you look at who those that followed him even criticized. You look at the Apostle Paul. You know, he's criticizing them routinely. And what, you know, you really have to, in a lot of ways, begin to consider that these scriptural mandates that have become so common within the American lexicon, such as the meek shall inherit the earth, have significant meaning. You know, when you really consider that. The idea of materialism, consumerism, greed. How much money does Mark Zuckerberg need? How much money does Jeff Bezos need? This hoarding. Scripture talks about this idea, you know, of, you know, you can't take it with you. So what is your purpose here on this earth? Is it to help each other? And my thing, unlike many people, is quite simply, I want all working class people to win. But for my white working class brothers and sisters, they got to clean their souls out. They got to go through a serious soul cleaning, you know, a deprogramming, because they've in many ways allowed not only the dollar, but also whiteness to be their God. And as a result of that, they're never going to be of any use to anyone that is aimed at achieving any semblance of righteousness on the face of this planet Earth, because they're always going to revert back to that default setting of white being right.
Thank you, Doc. And your closing comments?
You know, it's been a very unusual spring break for me. This is I guess I can say the cherry on top, getting with you guys for a day that was in many ways very potentially very contentious for me, but things worked out as they always do, very, very well, and I was able to help a young brother that I didn't even begin the day thinking I would be able to reach him or help him. But we were able to hammer some things out, and hopefully he's on a right path and learning how to manage his anxiety, and just make it, you know, more better, and keep making it more and more better. So I yield with that. Love you all. Really glad to see you all. And Brother Maurice, I think Sister Neff is a keeper. I guess, a broke clock is right at least twice a day. And you done missed on like 13, 14 people you done brought up in here. So Sister Neff, I want to officially welcome you to the family. I wasn't too quick to welcome you in because, Brother Maurice ain't got a good record on selecting people and what have you. And that, the whole thing when he said quite simply, no, I think y'all gonna like her. We heard all of that before. Okay. He told us that we was gonna like Brother Isaiah. He told us we would like Brother Just Us.
Oh my.
None of those previous invites worked out. They only got to come once. And after that, they was off of the list. So welcome. And also share with my brother, the one I'm talking about, that tells people, hey, partner, you do that again, you ain't gonna be up in here no more. And I yield with that. Love you all.
Oh, good thing.
Love you too, Doc. Brother Carlton.
Well, what a modern day prophet in our time, Brother Farrakhan, man. Just, I love the imagery of I'm integrating people into a burning home. And he's right. When things burn down, it renews. So we represent the Holy Spirit with fire. Why? Because it burns everything it comes in contact with. It renews the face of the earth. That's what the power of the Holy Spirit does. The prayer we pray every week is, come, Holy Spirit, send the kindling fire of your love. Send forth your spirit, O Lord, and they shall be created, and thou shalt renew the face of the earth. The prayer I pray every single day for the Holy Spirit to come into my life. And so this fire that's kindling, that's coming, it's going to get to a point where you're going to have no choice but to strike out on your own, because this American experiment is going to disintegrate, unfortunately, because why? Folks are too damn greedy and too damn selfish. So it's going to break apart. And Brother Farrakhan is telling you, get ready. You're going to have to build it yourself anyway. It's going to burn down. The whole thing's going to burn down. And you're going to have to build it yourself anyway. You might as well get started right now. You might as well get a head start. This is all going to break apart and fall apart like a house of cards. So we got to get ready and get our minds together so we start building our own nation, our own situation, our own reality with our own people, and give people the tools they need and start. This is the time to study, prepare, get your heart right, get your resources together, do things so you're ready for that fallout to happen. And so, we got to get out of that comfort, stop being comfortable, and that's why I think he was so critical of, I love Brother Cornel West, but he's too confident in the American government to do the right things. And other people there's too much confidence in the American government, unfortunately. And so a lot of the things we're going to have to do are going to be on our own, by pulling our own resources, pulling our own time, our own experiences, our own talents and skills. We can use the American system the best way we can. There are tools that we can use, and we should not, be afraid to use said tools when they're useful to us. But we have to recognize there's a lot that's not very useful. And we need to be, I think a lot of it is fear. It's fear of the unknown and fear of how am I going to do this? But listen, our people have built things out of nothing. If you tell me great grandpa and great grandma made a way out of no way, you can't figure out how to do this. They've built schools with nothing, barely anything but hammers and nails. That's all they had. No money. They just went and did it. So if we saw a brief taste of what could be during time of Reconstruction, it's our time to fulfill that vision. And we gotta stop being fearful of the unknown, because we have the skills, we have the ability, we have the talent. We need to talk to each other. We need to talk about the different experiences we've had, all the shortcomings we've seen, and we need to start building. And trust me, it will come together, because God's gonna be on our side. Because God understands where our heart's at. Our heart's with poor people and marginalized folks. And so as long as you keep your heart and your mind on poor and marginalized folks, you won't fail in anything you try to do.
Thank you, Brother Carlton. And the question for you is, the minister talked about being baptized by fire.
Yep.
And, you know, we've all heard everything about being baptized in the water, but
Yeah.
you know, not too much about this baptized in fire. Could you go into that a little bit and break that
Yeah.
down so that we
Briefly,
can
yeah,
get it?
sure. So briefly, it's like being sealed with the Holy Spirit. So when the Holy Spirit comes upon you by that baptism, so John's baptized with water, I'm baptizing you with the Holy Spirit. What he's doing, what Christ is telling you is, I'm going to burn all that old stuff away. So, you know, Farrakhan, he maybe intentionally or unintentionally, I'm not sure what his intentions were, made that connection with baptism, and how in baptism, all of that old stuff that you had before all burns away. It all gets whittled away and eaten away. So now we can now fill it with good things and things that are going to prepare you for life. And so that's what the baptism with the fire means. It's to burn away all that evil, selfishness, self-gratification, all the different things, all the worrying about your carnal pleasures and pleasures of the corporal nature, not necessarily the spiritual nature. Because you got to remember, Scripture tells you, no, and St. Paul makes this very clear. The flesh doesn't enter the kingdom of heaven. Only the Spirit does. So you got to get that corporate, all that those corporal desires out of you. That's why baptizing by Spirit is so important. It helps you deny those things as much. You're not as focused on those things. You're focused on what? The things that are to come, and the things of the Spirit, and the things that are of service and of love of your neighbor. That's the focus of it. And so that's what Brother Farrakhan was mentioning. And you know, damn good theologian, man. Can't argue with him. Closing comments is always a pleasure, as always. Thank you for rejuvenating me. I'm ready to go face the devil tomorrow and tell him to his face, "You're damn devil. You're evil." But you know what? But it's okay. Your time is coming. The wheels of justice grind very slowly, but oh, do they grind? And they still grind, and your time will come. Without yield, Brother Muhammad.
All right. Thank you, Brother Carlton. Thank you. And I thank this panel for coming on. We thank our special guest, Brother Emil, for coming and bringing your time and your talent with us. We definitely appreciate it. And this is a home as well. And always welcome. If you got some free time that you ain't doing nothing and you want to come spend your time with us, you are always welcome to be here. And what I would like to say, just watching that and listening to everybody, you know, we are demonstrating a very great power, and that power is love. It is all we got. The love is the power of God in us. It is the power that directs our talent. It is the power that directs our energy, our whole being, to serve that to which we love. And so we love our people, and as the minister demonstrated, and as you all demonstrated here tonight, we love our people. And so that's why it is instructed into the Bible that we should love God with all our heart, mind, and soul, and we should love our neighbor with the same. Our neighbor, not ain't the guy that live next door. Okay, that ain't your neighbor, but that's for a different topic. I ain't gonna go all into it, but understand that. And so, Sister Neff, come on up here, and we're gonna let you close us out. Come on, Sister Neff.
Oh, really now?
Oh, really now? Come on and bring it. Come with it.
Let me go to my notes. I need some notes for this. Okay, y'all, give me a minute. Yeah, that fire baptism, I'm gonna need to sit in that and just really let that marinate for a while. All right, Brother Maurice, give me a second. So I guess we're closing this out with the Black First Creed, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Oh, Lord. All right, y'all. You go ahead and kill the nigger in you, and I'll kill the nigger in me, and our God will reign supreme. We are Black first today, tomorrow, and forever.
Love your family. And I love y'all.
All right.
Bless.
Love y'all. Peace and blessings. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, y'all.
This was fun.